to redress all grievance. Agreed. Everyone agreed. Dennis, I believe you are going to speak for Sam. Yes, Timothy. Dennis rose. 10 years Sam's junior, Sam had raised Dennis over 5 years to the number 2 slot under himself. We all know the rules, he began. But we also know Sam McCready is not a teacher, or an accountant, or, God help us, a librarian. He's a field man, and one of the best, if not the best. I would like us to consider a few cases handled by Sam over the previous 6 years, starting with this one. He produced a file. The matter concerning the Soviet general Yevgeny Pankratin. It was May 1983. The Russian colonel waited in the shadows. Meetings with his British controller were to be avoided if possible, but this was different. He had things to say, to demand, that could not be put in a message in a dead letterbox. McCready had been there for an hour in the darkness of the abandoned marshalling yard in the outer suburbs of East Berlin. He had seen the Russian arrive, then waited. Satisfied, McCready flicked the match with his thumbnail. It flared once and died. The Russian saw it and emerged from behind the old maintenance hut. "Sam," he called softly. McCready moved out of the darkness to let the Russian see him. "Yevgeny," he said. "It's been a long time, my friend." McCready did not embrace or even shake hands. Yevgeny Pankratin, colonel of the Red Army, was a cold one, aloof, self-contained, confident in his arrogance. People betray the lands of their father for many reasons. Pankratin just wanted money. "I understand I am being slated for promotion," he said, "to Major General, and a transfer back to Moscow." "Congratulations," said McCready. "As what, Yevgeny?" Pankratin paused to let it sink in. "Deputy Director, Joint Planning Stage, Defense Ministry." McCready was impressed. To have a man in the heart of that ministry would be incomparable. "And when I come out," Pankratin went on, "I want an apartment block in California, Santa Barbara, deeds in my name, and $1 million US in my account there." "An apartment can be arranged," said McCready. "Not an apartment, Sam, a block, to live off the rents. Yevgeny, you are asking for between 5 and 8 million American dollars. I don't think my people have that kind of money, even for your product." The Russian's teeth gleamed beneath his mustache in a brief smile. "When I am in Moscow, the product I will bring you will be beyond your wildest expectations. You will find the money." "Let's wait until you have your promotion first, Yevgeny, and then we will talk about an apartment block in California." It was October, 5 months later. Bruno Morenz knocked on the door and entered in response to the jovial "Herein." His superior was stirring his first cup of coffee of the day, deposited by the attentive Fräulein Keppel, the spinster who waited upon his every legitimate need. Like Morenz, the head director was nudging 50, but Dieter Aust was short, plump, beautifully barbered and tailored, and head of the Cologne outstation of the West German Secret Intelligence Service, the BND. Morenz was taller, burly, grey-haired, chunky, and untidy in his tweed suit. "My dear Morenz," Aust began, "next week our colleague Dorn retires. His duties will be taken over by his successor, a much younger man. There is, however, one duty that requires a man of more mature years. I would like you to take it over." Morenz was already nodding as if he understood. He did not. "Now and again this country has visitors," Aust continued, "foreign dignitaries who, at the end of a day of negotiations or official meetings, feel in need of distraction, entertainment." "Call girls," said Morenz. "In a word, yes. To avoid embarrassments, or something even more serious, the government prefers to suggest a certain telephone number." Aust took 3 slim folders from his desk and handed them to Morenz. "There are 3 girls. I'm asking you to take this over because you are a mature married man. Keep an eye on them. It should not interfere with your other duties." Great, thought Morenz. 30 years loyal work for the service, and I get to babysit hookers. Late the following month, Sam Macready sat in a darkened room deep in the sub-basement of Century House in London, headquarters of the British Secret Intelligence Service, the SIS. He was watching a flickering screen on which the massed might of the USSR rolled endlessly over Red Square. The camera left the rumbling tanks and panned across the row of faces atop Lenin's mausoleum. "Slow down," said Macready. The technician at his side moved a hand over the controls and the pan shot slowed. The camera lifted to bring into focus the group of officers behind the Minister of Defense. "Hold it," said Macready. The picture froze. "That one, third from left. Can you enhance? Bring it closer." The technician fine-tuned carefully. The group of officers came closer. The one Macready had indicated was half-hidden. The shoulder boards on the greatcoat said Major General, but it was the moustache, unusual among Soviet officers, that clinched it. "Bloody hell," whispered Macready. "He's done it." He turned to the impassive technician. "Jimmy, how the hell do we get hold of an apartment block in California?" "The short answer, my dear Sam," said Timothy Edwards 2 days later, "is that we don't. We can't. He's too rich for us." "But his product is priceless," protested Macready. "This man's beyond just gold. He's a motherlode of pure platinum." "No dispute," said Edwards smoothly. "Look, the chief's been in Washington. He mentioned your man just in case he got his promotion. Our cousins have always had his product since you brought him in. Always been delighted with it. It seems they'll be happy to take him over, money and all." "He might not work for anyone else," said Macready. "Come on now, Sam. He'll go where the money is, and we'll get the product. Now please ensure that there's a smooth handover." 24 hours later, the CIA took over the handling, running, and paying of General Yevgeny Pankratin. The summer of 1985 was hot in Cologne, but Bruno Morenz had no holiday home to get away to. He sat in an open-air cafe and sipped a tall glass of beer, his tie undone, the shapeless jacket of his seersucker suit draped over the back of his chair. Once he had had his dreams, and they had not been fulfilled. He was locked in a loveless marriage to a potato-shaped woman of bovine stupidity. Bruno had tried, had worked hard, paid his taxes, kept his family as best he could, and had little enough fun in life. In 3 years they would pension him off. And to what? He would have his pension and savings from his other work, carefully hoarded in small accounts around Germany. No one even suspected he had enough there finally to do what he really wanted. Behind his amiable facade, Bruno Morenz was also a very secretive man. He had never told a single person about this other work. It was strictly forbidden. But his real problem was that he wanted to be free. He wanted to start again, and as if on cue he could see how, he was in love, head over heels, and Renate, stunning, youthful, was equally in love with him. Renate Heimendorf was 26, the ex-mistress of a wealthy businessman 3 times her age. When the man dropped dead of a heart attack, the girl managed to pillage their expensively furnished love nest. Together with the presents he had lavished on her over the years, Renate was able to buy a long lease on an apartment in a quiet and staid suburb of Cologne. After moving in, she had done some structural work. The flat had a sitting room, kitchen, bathroom, 2 bedrooms, entry hall and passageway with built-in closets. Renate slept in the smaller bedroom, using the larger one at the end of the passage as her working room. That afternoon there was a ring at her door. Renate frowned. A client would only come by appointment. The peephole revealed the rumpled grey hair of Bruno Morenz, her minder from the Foreign Ministry. Renate sighed, put on a radiant smile of welcome, and opened the door. "Bruno, darling." Half an hour later, in bed in her own bedroom, a favor she allowed him because he hated the working bedroom as much as he hated her job, Bruno Morenz told Renate, "I think I've clinched it. I have just enough to buy the lease and some more for decorating. It's a wonderful little bar, you'll see." Renate could hardly keep herself from laughing in his face. "I can't wait, my darling. It will be a wonderful life." 2 days later, Timothy Edwards took Sam Macready to lunch. It was over coffee that Edwards broached specifics. "Sam, everyone's very pleased indeed, but there is a new era coming. Yet records show you still retain certain assets who really have passed their usefulness. Poltergeist, for one." "He's a mate," said Macready. "We go back a long way. I trust him. He trusts me. You can't buy that sort of thing. The small retainer we pay him is a tiny price. Edwards rose. Get rid of him, Sam.